I'm finding myself making an apology that I'm getting very used to now, which is apologizing for my audio quality. Again, still waiting on that mic upgrade that I keep on promising you guys. It will get here eventually, I promise. But I think we're all fixed now. You should have a little bit easier time hearing me. Yeah, I believe when I left off I was mentioning that I have a hard time picking my favorite Spyro game. Because, and there are gameplay elements that are better or worse than others, but again, it's mainly a series, for me at least, about exploring these wild, vast, cartoony worlds. And I can't really say that one's better than the other. It's about the variety of environments, and it's about the variety of gameplay objectives, and the absolute freedom that you feel and how you manage to complete them. Now, a couple notes about emulation. You'll notice if I turn the camera really fast, it's not always terrible. It's more noticeable in some sections than others. But if I rotate the camera really fast, you might see some artifacts, some parts of the environment, the geography, kind of disappearing and reappearing off the screen, off the edges of the screen. This is due to that widescreen patch that I was telling you about. Or it's not a patch, it's a hack, really. Just native to PCSX-R as an emulator. It's fantastic that we can force the game to render itself in widescreen, but the thing you have to remember is that it was originally never intended to be this way. It was originally intended for a 4x3 presentation. So as a result, there's vast amounts of the geography on the left and right hand side of the screens that was never meant to be rendered. So that's why you can see these pop-ins coming in and out.
Spyro, my friend, how about a hint on gliding?
You bet!
For the longest glide, press the X button at the top of a jump, and try pressing the triangle button to drop down in mid-flight.
Now, another thing that makes this game so lovely, and the Spyro series in general so lovely, like I said, it's mostly about these vast worlds they built, but even the levels themselves, they use a lot of tricks to make what were already very vast and large levels for the day seem even bigger. We have these massive skyboxes above us that are beautifully done. Of all these different textures, you know, a sunset, a cloudy day, even a moonlit night, and it really adds to the sense of grandeur. We don't just have one, like, blank blue up there, or a simple gradient. We have actual artwork done on the skyboxes, which again is a pretty uncommon thing, for a pretty trailblazing thing for its time. And also, look at these, you can see the hills rolling off in the distance, you know? We have these interesting pylons here. These serve as our boundaries within the playable level, you know? And you can see how they kind of disrupt whenever we run into them. I remember when I was a kid and I was first playing this, I was convinced that there's some way to get out here, because I didn't understand what went into game development. I didn't understand that, you know, developers would create a certain level and they were limited by file size or any of that. All I knew was I was running through these green hills and I wanted to see what was on the other side of these pylons, right? So I would actually sit here and for like 15 minutes, I would just slam Spyro's head into the wall. And I'm like, maybe if I could just find a crack in there, I could get out there and explore the rest of the world. Because the environments they built were so expansive, and they were so, what's the word I'm looking for? Captivating, enthralling. They really drew me into them. I really wanted to see every part of the world of Spyro the Dragon that I could. I think that's, it was definitely a formative experience for me with regards to gaming, and probably with regards to a lot of my aesthetic sensibilities as I continue to grow. To this day, one of the major reasons I play games is for the sense of exploring a world. Really, storytelling and exploration are my, I would say, probably sole motivations for gaming, you know? I do enjoy, you know, a challenge to some degree, you know. It's fun just to have a rewarding gameplay experience, like especially from a puzzle game or what have you. But really, what it takes to make me fall in love with a game is either a great story or a great world to explore, and preferably both. Now, I will admit that as far as the storytelling department goes, the first Spyro the Dragon game, and arguably all the Spyro the Dragon games, kind of got the short end of the stick.
After you freed all the dragons, pass through this fancy vortex thingamajigger. It'll take you back to the artisan home. But first, let me tell you a story.
No thanks. See ya.
Oh, there's a ram in here. What are you doing in here, ram? Silly ram. You're not supposed to be in this castle. Get on out of here. So the story really isn't really much, and I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna use the console generation as an excuse, because the original PlayStation is when we saw things like Metal Gear Solid, we saw Final Fantasy. We did have the potential for excellent storytelling in video games in this generation, and Spyro was just not one of those games. And I don't think it really ever tried to set out to be that. You know, it never tried to weave a story that would make you laugh, or well, it does make you, they do make you laugh. They're very obviously trying to make you laugh, but it's not really a heart-gripping narrative, as it were. But the world itself was so rich that that's all I really cared about. Here we go. Now, I've played this game so many times, and I've actually 100%ed it several times. So this may represent another new milestone for UnderPlayed, which is actually 100%ing a game. That's not something I usually do. Usually, when I'm playing a game for UnderPlayed, we're just kind of going on a sightseeing tour. You know, we're just going to get a little bit of the environment, the art, the storytelling, the characters, etc. And we really, we might do a couple of the side quests or a little collectible content. But for the most part, I just beeline it to the end of the game. Spyro is a game that, due to the fact that it's not overly challenging and the fact that I just love exploring these environments so much, and I'm so familiar with them, I actually may feel comfortable going ahead and doing a full 100% playthrough for you guys. So you can see, you know, if you want to use this this Let's Play as a walkthrough, you're welcome to. We're now entering Town Square, which is probably my second favorite of the worlds in this, or of the levels in this first world. It's got that really peppy kind of music to it, you know? It's a lot peppier than what we were experiencing in the more idyllic and peaceful, laid-back zones of Stone Hill and the Artisan Homeworld in general. So we got this town just out in the middle of nowhere. We got this mountain range, and we're kind of an island out here. It's a pretty cool place for a town, right? Let's see what our first dragon is.
Welcome to Town Square, Spyro. Begin exploring by gliding to that area with the bulls. Use the L2 and R2 buttons to get a good look.
So again, the main appeal for Spyro for me is the atmosphere of the world, and that includes not only the art, but also the music. Love the music. And again, it might just have something to do with the age that was at the time, because, you know, there's a lot in music theory about how pretty much the age that you're first really exposed to different musical interests is when you really start to develop your own taste, you know. Pretty much the music that folks listen to when they're teenagers is what they consider to be the best kind of music for the rest of their life, you know. And maybe there's a little bit of that bias here, but I love these themes and these orchestrations.
Thanks, Spyro. I had the worst itch on the tip of my wing. Oh, did you know that you get your longest glides by pressing X at the very top of your jump?
A lot of times the dragons that will free you will give us little hints, which may seem pretty straightforward, but are actually like more subtle hints to how to get to hidden gameplay areas. It's fun watching these little animations that Insomniac worked in, like this little matador being chased by a bull, you know? We have these kinds of funny cartoon antics going on throughout the game. It makes it a real pleasure to make it to the next level to see what you're going to see next, you know? That was really the main motivation when I was playing this, was not to really beat the boss or anything, or, you know, find the secret treasure or anything like that. It was just I want to see what's next. You know, I want to unlock the next world and see what's the next crazy thing that's gonna happen. You know. And I don't think they ever disappointed. Like they did a really good job of really wrapping their imaginations and putting together a bunch of very different worlds and settings for us to experience. Going back to the music for a little bit, fun fact, the composer of this game is Stuart Copeland, who you may know as the drummer from The Police. Yeah, nice little bit of trivia, right? Now, I've been flaming these bulls. The gameplay is pretty simplistic. You got basically two attacks. You got the flame attack, you got your charge attack, which also serves as a way of getting around faster.
Thank you for releasing me.
And there's a little bit of an interesting, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of not really a gameplay puzzle, but you know, an extra bit of gameplay complexity. In that some enemies can only be defeated by flaming, some can only be defeated by charging, some by a combination of the two. But for the most part, it's relatively simple. Now, what's fun about